All right, buckle up, everybody, because today we're diving into some serious palace drama.
Oh yeah, we're talking about a power struggle that would make Shakespeare jealous.
Seriously. We've got hidden heir as a queen who will stop at nothing to grab the throne.
And a daring coup to put the rightful king back where he belongs.
Oh, and did I mention a resurrection?
Yeah, we're going there too.
We're talking about the kingdom of Judah.
A time and place where the line between earthly power and divine justice gets seriously blurred.
So if you're ready for a story that's part history, part thriller, and all about the enduring power of God's promises, then you've come to the right place.
This is one you won't want to miss.
It all starts with a death king. Ahaziah of Judah dies, and that leaves a power vacuum.
And you know what happens when there's a power vacuum?
Someone tries to fill it.
Exactly. And in this case, it's Ahaziah's own mother, Athaliah.
Talk about a power move, right?
She's not messing around either. This is a woman who's willing to eliminate anyone who stands in her way.
Even her own family.
Nobody is safe when Athaliah wants the throne.
I mean, that's pretty ruthless. But why go to such lengths?
Well, you have to remember, we're not just talking about any old kingdom here.
Right. This is the Davidic dynasty, a line of kings chosen by God himself.
Athaliah's actions are a direct challenge to God's promise that David's descendants would rule over Judah.
It's like she's saying, I'll take my chances with God.
And that's where things get really interesting.
So what happens next? Does God just sit back and let her get away with it?
Not a chance.
Ugh.
But the way God intervenes is nothing short of remarkable.
All right, I'm on the edge of my seat here. Tell me more.
Okay, picture this. Athaliah is on a rampage, wiping out any potential rivals to the throne.
So nobody's left who could challenge her claim.
Except for one tiny little problem.
I'm sensing a but coming here.
But there's one heir Athaliah doesn't know about, a baby boy named Joash, the rightful king of Judah.
Oh, wow. So there's hope after all.
There's always hope.
Hmm?
But Joash's survival is going to take a daring escape and a whole lot of faith.
So where does this baby king go? How does he manage to stay hidden from Athaliah?
Well, he has some pretty amazing protectors. His aunt Jehosheba and her husband, Jehoiada, who just happens to be the high priest.
Talk about divine intervention, right?
Seriously, they risked their lives to smuggle Joash into the temple.
The temple? Why the temple?
Not only was it a sacred place, a place of refuge.
A sanctuary.
Yeah, exactly. But it also put Joash symbolically under God's direct protection.
I love that hiding in plain sight and under divine protection, too. Talk about a power move.
Right. It's a bold statement of faith. Like they're saying, we trust God to protect this child and his destiny.
So how long does this go on? How long does Joash have to stay hidden in the temple?
6 years.
6 years. That's a long time to live with that kind of pressure and danger.
Oh, absolutely. Every day they must have wondered, is this the day we're discovered? Is this the day it all falls apart?
Talk about living on the edge.
Yeah,
But they pulled it off.
they did. And after 6 years, Jehoiada decides it's time to make a move.
Okay, so what happens? Does he just walk little Joash out of the temple and say, surprise everyone, meet your new king?
It's a little more strategic than that. Remember, Jehoiada is the high priest? He's got influence. He knows how to work the system.
So this is where things get really interesting.
Okay, gets even better than that. Jehoiada orchestrates a full-blown coup.
No way!
Yes, way. He gathers supporters, arms the Levites. Those are the priestly tribe.
Okay, so he's building an army.
Not messing around. Then they crown Joash king right there in the temple.
I bet Athaliah was not happy about that.
She shows up, yells, treason! But it's too late. Jehoiada's got the people on his side, and the guards are loyal to Joash.
Wow, talk about a dramatic scene.
It must have been incredible. The cheers of the crowd, Athaliah realizing she's lost everything. The young king standing there, symbol of God's faithfulness to his promises.
Talk about a story that's got it all.
It's a powerful reminder that even when human rulers try to disrupt God's plans, he finds a way to restore order and fulfill his promises.
And sometimes he does it in the most unexpected ways.
Through a child and a priest, no less.
It makes you wonder who we might be underestimating in our own lives.
Whose potential are we overlooking?
So we've got this young king now, Joash. What kind of ruler does he turn out to be?
Well, one of his first acts is to order the repair of the temple, which had fallen into disrepair under Athaliah's reign.
That makes sense. Repairing the temple shows a commitment to honoring God, a symbolic act of restoring order and reverence.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like he's saying we're putting God back at the center of our lives.
But I remember reading something about complications with the priests and the temple funds.
You're right. There seems to have been a delay in getting those repairs done, and the reasons are a bit murky. Was it mismanagement of funds? Corruption within the priesthood? The sources don't give us all the details, which is frustrating.
It is frustrating, but it also adds a layer of realism, don't you think? Even with the best of intentions, things can get messy.
Absolutely. It makes you think about how we handle responsibility and accountability, even when we're trying to do the right thing.
And it reminds us that leadership is complex.
Joash might have had a pure heart, but maybe he lacked the experience or the wisdom to navigate the intricacies of temple finances. It's a good reminder that even when we're passionate about something, we need to be prepared for the challenges that come with it.
So true. It's not enough to have good intentions. We need to be prepared to put in the work, learn from our mistakes, and adapt to unexpected obstacles.
And be willing to ask for help when we need it.
But before we get too caught up in Joash's leadership struggles, remember, there's another kingdom in play here. What's happening up north in the northern kingdom of Israel, while all of this is going down in Judah?
Things aren't exactly peaceful up north either. Kings Jehoahaz and Joash, who were ruling in Israel during this time, have both turned away from God's commands. It's a stark contrast to what's happening in Judah with Joash's efforts to restore the temple and honor God. But even in this darkness, there's a flicker of light, and it comes in the form of a familiar face, the prophet Elisha.
Oh, Elisha's back, even on his deathbed. This guy is a force to be reckoned with. We've got symbolic arrows, cryptic pronouncements. It's like he's going out with a bang.
And what's important to remember here is that even though these kings in the northern kingdom are leading their people astray, God's presence hasn't vanished. He's still working through his prophets, still offering guidance, still demonstrating his mercy, even when his people stray.
So even in the midst of all this political turmoil and human failings, God is still there working behind the scenes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He never gives up on us, even when we make a mess of things. His love and faithfulness endures.
And that's a message we can all hold on to. No matter what challenges we face in our own lives, we can be sure that God is with us every step of the way.
He's always ready to offer forgiveness, guidance, and hope.
Well, folks, that's it for this installment of our deep dive. We've covered a lot of ground today. From a power-hungry queen to a daring rescue to a young king facing the challenges of leadership, it's been quite a journey. But we're not done yet. Join us next time as we explore the rest of this incredible story and uncover even more insights into God's power and faithfulness.
We'll see you then.
Okay, so last time we left off with Elisha still doing his prophet thing even on his deathbed.
Talk about dedication, right? This guy is committed.
And he's got this whole arrow thing going on with King Joash of Israel.
Yeah, he tells Joash to shoot arrows out the window, each one representing a victory over their enemies.
Seems pretty straightforward.
You'd think so. But then Joash stops after shooting only 3 arrows.
Wait, really? What's the problem with that?
Elisha is furious.
Furious. Why? 3 victories doesn't sound too shabby.
It's not about the number of arrows. It's about the attitude behind the action.
Okay, I'm listening.
This wasn't just target practice. It was a test of faith. Elisha was showing Joash the potential for complete victory over his enemies.
But he stopped short.
Exactly. He held back. And by doing so, limited what God could accomplish through him.
So it's like Elisha was giving him this amazing opportunity and he just didn't fully seize it.
Exactly. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes our limited vision, our fear, can prevent us from experiencing the full extent of God's power.
Makes you think, doesn't it? About the times we've held back maybe out of fear or doubt.
Absolutely. It's a challenge we all face. But imagine what could happen if we fully embraced God's plan for our lives.
Wow, that's something to think about. But speaking of things that make you think, remember that resurrection we mentioned earlier?
Oh yeah, this one's a doozy.
Lay it on me.
So Elisha dies, and sometime later there's a Moabite raid going on.
Moabites. Those guys were always causing trouble.
Right. So during this raid and all the chaos, they're trying to bury a dead man.
Okay.
But things are crazy, and they're in a hurry, and they accidentally throw the body into Elisha's tomb.
Into the tomb!
Yep. And get this, as soon as the dead man touches Elisha's bones, he comes back to life.
Hold up. Did you just say he came back to life from being dead?
Yep, just like that. Back from the dead.
That's incredible. It's like something out of a movie.
It definitely defies our understanding of the natural world.
Yeah.
But that's the point.
What do you mean?
It shows us that God's power operates on a level we can barely grasp. It extends beyond our understanding, beyond our limitations, even beyond death itself.
That's powerful. So we've got a resurrected man, a dramatic coup, a hidden heir, and a power-hungry queen who got what was coming to her.
It's been quite a ride through the kingdoms of Judah and Israel.
It really has. So while all this drama has been going on in Judah, what's been happening up north in Israel? Did things turn around after Elisha's dramatic exit?
Well, remember those kings, Jehoahaz and Joash, who were leading Israel astray?
Oh, the ones who weren't exactly following God's commands.
Those are the ones? Well, despite their disobedience, God doesn't immediately abandon them. In fact, under Jeroboam II, the northern kingdom experiences a period of political and economic prosperity.
Wait a minute, so they're turning away from God, but he's still blessing them. How does that work?
It seems counterintuitive, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it reveals a profound truth about God's character.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
He's not a cosmic vending machine doling out rewards and punishments based on our every action.
So it's not like you do good, you get good, you do bad, you get bad.
Exactly. His love and mercy run far deeper than that. Yeah.
So even though they were on the wrong path, God was still extending grace, giving them a chance to turn back to him.
Exactly. It's a reminder that we can't put God in a box. His ways are higher than our ways.
That's a good reminder. But I'm also thinking about King Amaziah in Judah. He took over after Joash, right?
Yep, that's right.
Did he follow in his father's footsteps?
Amaziah is an interesting case. He's described as doing what was right in the eyes of the Lord, but
He's a but.
he gets rid of some idols, cleans up some pagan practices, but he doesn't go all the way.
What do you mean?
He leaves some of those high places standing, the places where people were still worshiping false gods.
Right, I remember reading about that. It seemed like such a small detail at the time. Why is that such a big deal?
It might seem minor, but it illustrates the danger of partial obedience.
Partial obedience.
Amaziah's actions reveal a divided heart, a willingness to compromise. He's like, I'll follow God, but on my own terms.
I see. And that kind of thinking can have serious consequences.
It's like trying to mix oil and water. You can't have true devotion while clinging to things that pull you away from God.
Makes you think about what high places we might be clinging to in our own lives.
Right. What compromises are we making that are hindering our relationship with God? It's a question worth pondering.
It's really amazing how these stories from thousands of years ago,
From ancient Judah and Israel,
they still feel so relevant today.
it's like they're speaking directly to us across the centuries.
But I have to admit, sometimes it's easy to get caught up in all the drama.
Yeah, all those epic battles and political intrigue.
And it can feel a bit disconnected,
Disconnected from our everyday lives.
Right. So how do we bridge that gap? How do we take these ancient lessons
And apply them to our modern world.
Yeah, it's the question, isn't it?
It is. But I think that's also the beauty of these stories.
What do you mean?
They're not just about kings and prophets and battles.
There's something more to it.
They're really about the human experience.
Yeah.
So
it's not just history, it's about us.
Exactly. We see ourselves reflected in these characters,
Even though they lived thousands of years ago.
even though they live in a completely different time and place.
So we're not just reading about events, we're seeing glimpses of ourselves in these stories.
Exactly. And that's where the real power lies. We can step into the shoes of these individuals,
Feel their joys and sorrows.
grapple with their dilemmas.
And learn from their mistakes.
And in doing so, we gain insights into our own lives. It's like holding up a mirror to our own hearts.
Seeing our own strengths and weaknesses reflected back at us.
Precisely.
That's a powerful image. Can you give me an example?
Sure. Think about Athaliah's insatiable thirst for power.
Yeah, she was ruthless.
It might seem extreme, but haven't we all encountered people driven by similar desires,
Maybe on a smaller scale.
right? Maybe not for a throne, but for recognition, for control, even just to be right.
That's true. Or how about Joash?
Good one. He starts out with so much zeal.
He wants to do what's right,
He's all about restoring the temple, honoring God.
but then he hesitates.
He doesn't fully commit.
And things get complicated.
Haven't we all experienced moments of wavering faith?
Moments where our commitment to God's plan faltered.
We get scared. We doubt. We take our eyes off the prize.
It's humbling to realize that we're not so different from these ancient figures.
We're still grappling with the same fundamental questions.
Of obedience of faith, of the allure of power.
And that's what makes these stories so timeless.
They remind us that we're part of this long lineage of humanity.
We're still wrestling with the same challenges.
Capable of both great love and terrible selfishness.
But here's the good news.
I'm ready for some good news.
These stories also show us that God is still at work,
Even today.
especially today. He's still orchestrating events,
Still offering second chances.
still inviting us to participate in his redemptive plan.
That is good news. So even with all our flaws and failures,
There's still hope.
there's still hope.
Absolutely. God hasn't given up on us.
That's good to hear.
He's still patiently guiding us, nudging us towards wholeness.
inviting us to become more fully the people he created us to be.
And that's an invitation worth accepting, don't you think?
It is, but it can feel overwhelming. Where do we even begin?
That's a great question. Let's look back at Joash's restoration.
Okay.
Remember, he was just a child when he was crowned king.
Right. He was thrust into this role he never asked for.
He didn't have any special skills or experience.
Just a kid surrounded by adults who could have easily taken advantage of him.
Exactly. But he had something far more important. He had people around him who believed in him
People who guided him.
and helped him fulfill his potential.
So it's not about having all the answers or being perfectly equipped.
It's about being open to guidance
And surrounding ourselves with people who can support us.
on our journey.
You got it. We don't have to navigate this life alone.
We have the scriptures to guide us
The example of those who have gone before us.
and each other.
We can learn from each other's successes and failures.
Offer encouragement when someone stumbles.
And celebrate the victories, both big and small.
It's about building a community of faith, a network of love and support.
That empowers us to become the best versions of ourselves.
Beautifully said.
And remember, transformation is a process.
It doesn't happen overnight.
It's about taking small steps each day.
Making choices that align with our values,
And trusting that God is working through us.
even when we can't see the immediate results.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the lives of kings, queens, and prophets,
I hope you've been as inspired as I have,
I'm struck by both the weight of history.
and the power of hope.
We've seen ambition lead to destruction.
But we've also witnessed God's faithfulness.
In restoring what was broken.
And that brings us to a final thought-provoking question.
I love a good thought-provoking question.
If God can work through imperfect leaders in situations like these,
Orchestrating events, bringing justice, even restoring life,
in unexpected ways,
what might he be capable of doing through your life?
even with your imperfections,
It's an incredible thought, isn't it, that God can use each of us,
to make a difference in the world.
even with all our flaws and imperfections.
So go out there, be bold, be kind.
And remember that you are part of something much bigger than yourself.
You are a vessel of God's love, a catalyst for change, and a beacon of hope.
In a world that desperately